I'm Greg DePalma, and you're listening to Prime Sports Tennis with Andrea Leanne on the Prime Sports Radio Network. On today's show, we'll recap USA's win over the Netherlands in the first round of Fed Cup action, with Serena Williams returning to action in her first official match in over a year and since becoming a mom. Andrea will let you know how it all went down and whether it was a good idea for Serena to play a competitive match so soon in her comeback. The Fed Cup, Serena, and more as Prime Sports Tennis on the Prime Sports Radio Network starts now. All right, it's Wednesday, the 14th of February, 2018. Thanks again for tuning in to Prime Sports Tennis with PSN tennis editor and former top 15 player in the world, Andrea Leanne. And Andrea, the U.S. wins the first round tie over the Dutch, and Serena returned to action by participating in a Fed Cup doubles match with her sister Venus for the first time since 2003. So how do you think it all went?
Oh, it was just a phenomenal tie. It was just a perfect setting, an intimate setting in Asheville, sold-out stands, great enthusiasm, palpable enthusiasm from the crowd, huge support. The dynamic was terrific, a perfect setting for Serena to make her first foray back. And, of course, Greg, we had so many milestones. Venus winning her 1,000th win in her career, just huge, huge from Venus Williams, because she really ended up anchoring the win with the two singles victories, of course, and then with Coco's victory. Captain Kathy Rinaldi still undefeated, just started last year and now undefeated in her captaincy of the team. And then, of course, we have Coco Vandeweghe, the streak alive, 13-0. And, boy, she played so well to survive that deficit in her singles match, the second rubber, came back and was able to take the negative, turn it into a positive, and really fuel that fire to have that comeback and win her singles match. Really, really enjoyed watching that. But it was a lot of milestones. The tension, though, as you said, Greg, always went back to Serena. She was on the sidelines. We saw her during the week because she was there for the whole week, Greg. I think we forget when you play Fed Cup, there are a lot of ceremonial things, a lot of different things you have to do during the week. And she really was there all week, 2 feet in, participated in everything. And I think she really enjoyed it. She could feel the support from Kathy Rinaldi and the team. She could feel the support from the USTA. And let me tell you, the USTA had everyone there, Greg, the whole hierarchy. Everyone was out there trying to make this tie a great, great event, and Fed Cup should be very proud because it was everything that Fed Cup should be. Both teams, the Netherlands and the U.S., just really behaved and performed absolutely terrifically, and I think the crowd appreciated it. So it was a win-win for everyone, but as you said, the attention was really on Serena Williams, and what was she going to present? How was she going to play? What was people to expect? And it was interesting because, Greg, when we've seen Kim Clijsters come back, who also had children and came back from a pregnancy when she had Jada. She did it in private. She did it over in Europe where she's from, and she did it very quietly for the first 4 or 5 months. We really didn't hear too much about it, and we really didn't see Kim until she was really competitive, fit, and ready to go in tournaments. And it really took a year before she started winning. Roger Federer, we saw at the beginning of last year, after 6 months off, did not give us a glimpse until the week before he was ready to compete. So he, of course, everything pristine and perfect in that slated practice session he had in the Arab Emirates, all videotaped for us with Lubicic and his fitness guy, and everything was very well staged. And so it was a great way to see him come back that way. But I think with Serena, Greg, this is very, very early in the curve. And, of course, they were very nice. And let's put out there, you had the media credential. I was invited as a guest as a former Fed Cup player along with other former Fed Cup players. It was a real honor and a very, very nice thing for the USTA to do. But it was interesting, a lot of us saw Serena on and off court, in the gym, on the court, and you kind of just, you saw it and you thought, she needs her privacy. You saw a minute or two and you turned away and went on your way because, she needed her privacy at this stage in the comeback. She needed to be able to work things out on her own. And so there was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction in wanting to protect her and wanting her to have what she needed in this stage. But I think ultimately, Greg, it was a great, great idea for her to come and for her to play that doubles, because ultimately it began as, are we going to get to see Serena play? And the crowd did. And all the expectations were met, and Serena did get on court. And I think it was a very, very good idea, because I think ultimately it became a reality check for Serena on where she is and where she needs to go.
All right, so you agree with the decision then to play at this time, and even though, again, let everybody know that the sisters did lose the doubles match, but Serena mentioned, it's good to get the butterflies out, and I got to believe that's the win-win for her, isn't it? Because even though they lost the match, they won the event. And she was able to not only get the butterflies out, but to get into a groove, just get back on the court. And that's something that's going to take her a little bit of time. So you had an opportunity to see her. So what'd you think of her performance?
Well, I don't think there's really a lot to analyze. There's not really a lot to report on. Everyone wanted the one-on-ones with her. Everyone wanted time with her. Everyone wanted some big storyline as to where she is. And there is no storyline right now. I think that she has to get herself back into that base. As you know, we've seen Venus and Caroline Wozniacki, her good friend, be able to take time off and be able to curtail certain things and take some shortcuts at this stage. But they've always maintained a certain base. Even Venus with the Sjogren's has always maintained a certain base. So to me, it's going to be about the next 3 weeks for Serena. And I think these will be the 3 toughest weeks of her entire tennis career, because this is where she has to get back to that base, and she's going to have to show a lot of discipline and sacrifice to do it. And, look, there's so many reasons why she doesn't have to do it. I mean, absolutely plausible, tangible reasons. This is unprecedented, Greg.
Yeah.
This comeback has never been done. When you look at all the medical complications from the delivery and the medical concerns existing, as well as the fact that, of course, she has a new family. She's got a baby. She's got this incredible husband, and she has a family life now that she doesn't really need a comeback to that extent. And also the fact that she is 36 years of age. Kim and Yvonne Goolagong and other mothers who've come back have been in their 20s. So there are lots of excuses she could put out of her pocket if she really wants. And that's why, Greg, I think that this return has to be personalized. It has to be about a personal fueling of the fire for her. And that's going to have to be about her saying, you know what? I'm not gonna let this stop me, and I'm gonna do the right things the next 3 weeks. Because I think if she can get through the next 3 weeks and get over this initial hump and back to that baseline, I think then everything is going to come very easily to her. Because we saw on court in the doubles that innate aggressiveness, that innate offensive play, and even though she put the white Lycra shirt on and she ran for every ball, and she didn't get some of the lobs that went over her head, and yes, she shanked one, but she still was out there trying every single point. She never waved the white flag once. She went after every ball. She did everything she could, and you could see the athleticism and the ability through it all. And so to me, it's just a question of time if she can get through these 3 weeks, get back to that baseline physically, and then be able to move forward.
All right, so a big difference between the physical part of the game and the mental. So, and is this what you need then to see yourself to analyze whether or not you believe she really wants it, that she really will have the same drive that she had before? Is this what you want to see in these next 3 weeks as we get to some big events coming up next month, starting with Indian Wells?
Well, there are no shortcuts right now until she gets to that baseline. There are no shortcuts, and she has to understand that. And this is where you got to put away the yoga pants and really get out there. And to me, the knee-jerk reaction is to take no risk. And Indian Wells in 3 weeks, boy, that's a tough challenge.
Yeah.
Miami as well. I think it's good though for Serena to have goals. And you have to give her targets. She likes a target. Unfortunately, Maria Sharapova, who just lost in the first round of Doha to Nicolescu yesterday, is no longer really a target for her because she just hasn't performed up to par.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's her nemesis is not a target. Sloane Stephens and Bouchard, who just graced the cover of the SI swimsuit issue, which Serena and Caroline were in last year, no longer, that's not really a target for her. So she's got to find some way to make this a personalized endeavor. And I think to that, whether it's the press poking fun at, her fitness or so forth, or whatever it is, I'll tell you what really said the most to me, Greg, was after the first day of matches. I think a lot of the former players, we felt a little bit sorry for her because she was under the microscope, and I think that she felt that sympathy. But I went home, and all of a sudden the Instagram picture flared up on the thing from Serena's Instagram, and there, Greg, was the picture, and it was the fiercest of fierce game faces I've ever seen on Serena, and it was just Serena and the tennis court. And to me, what that look said was, don't feel sorry for me. Don't worry about me. This is no longer a question of whether I will come back. It's a question of when. And so when is, I would pick Charleston because it's a smaller draw, a weaker field than Indian Wells in Miami, where you have the 10-day event, the big draws, more matches, and of course all the players really trying to peak there because of the first two major events of the year on the tour. And to me, that would be an easier route to play Charleston, play Rome on the red clay, the French, and Wimbledon. But she'll have to see, because it really comes down to when Serena feels comfortable in her own skin and confident in her own ability to go out there and be able to face a Maria in the first round or a Sloane in the first round, because she will be unseeded, Greg. She has no ranking. I think that this is where the real test will be, is when she feels comfortable going out there. And I think we'll get another look at the tiebreak 10 event at Madison Square Garden in a few weeks. To me, that's going to be our next barometer on where she is, and I think that will help her decide whether she plays these next two big events, because I don't think the short-term timetable is what's important. It's the big picture that she has to look at. And as we said, I think that if she can get over these 3 weeks and start posting where she feels comfortable, I think then we're going to have something to really watch, because there's no question in my mind she can come back and achieve anything she can. I mean, 36 is not that old, and you have to put the fears behind you and say, you know what, I have to live my life. And for Serena, I think when she is on full mode, there's still no one who can beat her.
All right. Well, Coach Rinaldi is going to have some really tough decisions to make as the U.S. will take on France. Right. And France, boy, Mladenovic, she's just turned everything around over the last few weeks. She was the main reason that France beat Belgium. She wins both singles. She participates in the doubles that basically broke the tie to win that event. That match, and wins it in 3 sets. So she's red hot now, and that's the next opponent for the United States.
Right, and they won it without Garcia. They won it without Cornet, who's right now on a bit of a suspension while they sort out that offense on the. She tested negative on the drug thing, but she did make a few of her tests, so she's being summoned on that, so she couldn't play. So yeah, Mladenovic pulled through, and as we see, Mladenovic won her first match in Doha, lost in the second. But Serena has to keep an eye, I'm sure, on the competition. Great to see Muguruza there with Conchita Martinez. Keys just lost to Bellis in the first round today, but Halep threw very easily over Makarova in her new Nike gear. We congratulated her a month and a half ago, now formalized. As well as, of course, Sloane Stephens with apparently an unprecedented deal with Nike. So there's lots going on in the sport, and I think a lot there for, Serena, who's such a competitor, to take an eye on. But, of course, Sharapova, and Greg, we do want to mention, that was a very bizarre match for Maria, probably one I've never seen her play, in that usually she goes down swinging. This time she just kind of puttered out, looking very, very tired against Nicolescu. Only won 1 of the last 13 points from 3 all in the third. She's usually such a great 3-set player. And the serve, obviously the 11 double faults was unusual, but it was the fact she was really only able to win just about half the points on the first serve when she did get it in. The return of serve was no better. So a weird performance from Maria, and certainly that is not going to help us with Serena, because you like to see the nemesis do well to give Serena, yes, another target. But we're going to have to watch and see how these veterans over 30 do, because, as we've said, it's a different world when you turn 30, and it's tougher. But to me, Serena has always been extraordinary in everything she has done. And yes, I think Kathy will have a great decision to make against the French in April, because, of course, the Czech Republic plays Germany in the other half, which is a very, very tough match because the entire Czech team is posting this year for that, Pliskova leading the way. So the Fed Cup looks absolutely incredible this year for the women. I mean, the matches are going to be great. They already are. So I think we're going to have a very, very exciting year.
It's going to be very tough, though, for Kathy to not put Coco in if she's just standing. I mean, when you're that hot, she's got to play, right? I mean,
well, Coco was really anchored the team last year in their win. I mean, she single-handedly did it with the singles and the doubles victory, as we mentioned, the 13-0 streak. And I absolutely adore Coco. You know, I had the fan experience in the first day of matches, and you know, when you're around the kids and the boys especially who just think she is so cool and they just love the bravado and the strut and the energy that she provides in matches. Yes, she did leave the court with one less racket and she had a different command of the English language in parts of the match. But, you know, you look at the whole package with Coco, and it was the fact that she was able to take what was a very tough deficit and not a great play and turn it around and really use that energy in a positive way to come back and win. I think this is something she may not have been able to do in a tournament match on her own, but with Kathy on the bench with her and a team behind her, as well as the entire support of the Asheville City, she had no choice, I think, but to really rally, and I credit her for doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that we can look, I think Madison Keys has said she will play that next round. It will probably be on red clay, obviously in France, but it's the week before the clay court season starts in Europe, so not a bad scheduling thing for Madison and Coco to get some matches under their belt. And we'll have to see who rounds out the team. But they have a lot of choice. Of course, Sloane is in there as well. We like to see Sloane on the court as well as in the SI swimsuit issue. And so a lot going on. But, yeah, I think that for Serena now, it's about doing what's good for Serena.
All right. So, by the way, before we say goodbye, I just want to thank the USTA and, of course, the Fed Cup for inviting us down, giving us the media credential. Once again, I only live about 20 minutes from the location, so I was very happy to be able to spend a few days down there watching the matches and covering tennis again, which I hadn't done in a few years. So. Very surprised that they actually they were able to get this venue here. So I wanted to take full advantage, and once again, I wanted to thank the USTA for making it really easy for me to come on down and enjoying the tennis.
Well, and it was great to have you. I mean, we know you cover the NFL and Major League Baseball, and of course we have the Olympics going on, so you and the golf, and you have so much going on. But your city was fantastic. They really embraced it, and I'm so glad the USTA chose that type of intimate setting. And yeah, and I also extend my thank you to the USTA because, you know, when you bring old-timers in like us, it's always a treat. It's always a treat to be there and to see all the old faces who we saw every day for decades and then obviously had to reconnect after decades of not seeing each other. So it was lots of fun. And it was great. Yeah, one of the players said to me, I saw her in the gym. I said, oh, you know, I'll come back. And she said, no, I'm glad you're here. So it was nice that the current players also were so generous and kind and you know, really receiving our support because we were behind them all the way, and we're behind Serena. And I thought it was just a perfect beginning. It was a little bit of a cold shower for her, a little bit of a reality check, but that may have been just what the doctor ordered. So we're behind her, and we hope to see her. Hope this is the beginning of a lot of good stuff.
All right, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We've got Indian Wells to cover, and of course, you got back-to-back Indian Wells, Miami, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And in the meantime, of course, you can go to Andrea's Facebook page, and Andrea, I'm sure you have a fun time communicating with the followers there. So I'm sure they're going to be wanting to know, with your time off between shows, exactly what's on your mind in case anything comes up. And by the way, you know, whenever we are off in between shows, if there's any big news in tennis, we'll definitely make sure that we come on and give our input and update everybody on what's going on. But right now, I'm excited about getting ready for Indian Wells in a few weeks.
Right, Indian Wells and Tiebreak 10. I'm also going to be at the Tiebreak 10 event at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where we'll get our next look at Serena. Serena, Venus, Coco Vandeweghe's playing, Marianne Bartoli, former Wimbledon champion, as well as Svitolina signed up, and 3 more to be named. So that's going to be our look, and that will be, I think, a determinant for Serena whether she plays Indian Wells. But of course, as you said, Indian Wells, the BNP Paribas Open, the next big one on the tour.
All right, Andrea, looking forward to talking tennis again with you real soon. Thanks a lot, and enjoy your tennis over the next couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, that's Andrea Leanne. I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks again for tuning in to Prime Sports Tennis on the Prime Sports Radio Network. We'll see you again real soon. And again, follow Andrea on her Facebook page, and follow us, of course, on our website, our YouTube, and iTunes pages under Prime Sports Network. For Andrea Leanne, I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time.